we made it through. But we just cover country, and what I'm looking for is a bull to bugle. And so I'm throwing out a location bugle. The location bugle, all I'm trying to do is say hello to it. Just throw it out there and say, hey, I'm an elk, I'm up on the ridge, and I want another elk to respond. And the location bugle sounds like this. There's not a lot of emotion in it. That's just basically, I want to make some noise and make an elk think there's another one up there. So listen for the emotion. There's not much, it's just kind of that melancholy sound.
It's just a 2. That's a 2.
Like to hold it, drag it out, make it echo down through the canyon. And my whole goal with that call is just to get an elk to respond. He might be a mile away, a mile and a half away. He might be 400 yards away. I just want to find out if there's an elk there. And then once there is, then my goal is to get close. And I try to get as close to that elk as I can. And I try to do it without doing any more calling. So we're moving in, and there'll be times when we have to let out a call or two just to pinpoint his location. Unfortunately, elk don't stand still very long, so a lot of times it's very dynamic. We're trying to move in and catch up to them, they're moving. But what I want to do is get as close to that elk as I can. And there's a reason for that. Imagine a human, a guy who's filled with testosterone. And if you are, say, a half a mile away and you yell at him and say, hey, you're an idiot, is he going to come running a half a mile to start a fight? He might. If you're in his face and you're spitting venom and you're swearing and you're yelling and screaming and calling him every name you can and calling all of his friends that are with him their names, is that going to start a fight? Probably have a better chance. It's the same with elk. If elk have to come to you a long ways, they aren't going to be near as responsive to that emotion. But if you are in their face, if you're in their zone and you start insulting them, the reaction's a lot different. So I get as close as I can, and then I try to get that emotion out of them. Now again, it's September, it's breeding season, it's the rut, so if I can give him a couple cow calls and get him to respond to that and come in, that's all I'm going to do. Just a couple soft cow calls. That's the lady elk, and she's saying, hey, it's breeding season, I'm all alone. The bull knows what that means. A lot of times he'll come in, but a lot of times it's not enough to cut him loose. And when he does, he's coming in somewhat cautious, and it's a little bit more difficult to get a shot as an archer when they have to be in really close. What I like is challenging that bull. I like starting a fight. So I think in my mind, like an elk. What could I say, or what would another elk say to me to make me want to fight? And I put that emotion into my bugle. So I get in close, we set up, and the setup's critical. You saw in the film, just simply choosing to go behind a tree instead of in front of it cost me that first 6-point bull. He was at 6 yards and I had no shot. So the setup's important, making sure that we're taking time, that when we actually execute the call in, that we have a good setup to be able to finish it off with. So the setup's important, making sure we set up in front of stuff instead of behind it, let things behind us break up our outline, let our camouflage do its job. But if I set it behind a tree, if I set it behind a stump, I'm basically limiting all of my shooting lanes. So setup's important. We get set up, then I let out a cow call. What that cow call does is it tells the bull there's a cow there. And he talks to her and says, hey, you're a cow, I'm a bull, it's September, what do you hang out for a little bit? And then before he even gets done hitting on that cow, this other bull that he didn't know is there, who's in his zone, who's too close to him, cuts him off and starts insulting him and every elk that ever walked in that valley. And when you do that, they can't control their emotion. Their eyes roll back in their head, they start slobbering, they plow over trees, they dig ruts in the ground, trying to get there to beat up that bull that just insulted him. So this is what the challenge bugle sounds like. I'm going to give you a location bugle first, just that one that has no emotion, and then I'm going to hit you with the challenge bugle and listen for the difference in emotion. You tell the difference in those two calls? Listen again. You feel that? The elk can too. And that emotion is what trips their trigger. So when John says I speak elk, I don't. It goes back to when I was in high school. My mom always said, it's not what you said that got you in trouble, it's the way that you said it. When it comes to elk hunting, I still apply that. So my mom taught me a lot of really good lessons about elk hunting. A couple other things that I feel are important for successful, consistently successful success. We can all go out there and be in the right place at the right time, and that's a lot of hunting. It's just being out there, being in the right place at the right time. But there are a few things that are really important. The first one is your setup, and I talked about that. But when we go out there, you can have all the tactics, all the equipment, everything right. If we don't put ourselves in a position to be successful, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be more difficult. So putting yourself in that position, make sure there are good shooting lanes, making sure that you're in an area where the elk's going to be more comfortable coming in. That setup and putting yourself in a position for success is very important. Another one is the wind. And for an elk, they survive by the wind. And so I carry one of these little bottles, you probably saw in the film. I'm continually puffing that. And what that does, it tells me which way the wind's blowing. If the wind's blowing that way, and the elk's that way, he's going to smell me and it's game over. So I'm continually readjusting my approach to get to that elk based on what the wind's doing. And if I'm not paying attention to the wind, I'm going to fail very quickly. And speaking of failing, as an elk hunter, that's one of my greatest secrets, is to fail. Because you fail so many times every day as an elk hunter. You saw in the film the hardships you go through, the misses, all of the things that go into it. I bet I fail 100 times for every time I'm successful. And the key to that is learning from those mistakes. Learning from them, not getting discouraged, persevering, keeping pushing on. And sometimes that's what it comes down to. It's the last day, the last hour of the last day on that hunt when success finally comes together. But you have to keep pushing through those failures and pushing on despite the hardships, the long days, being away from the family, all of that. So my passion is elk hunting, elk calling. Having John along this year was a ton of fun. He's a great guy, great video guy, great film guy, and I learned a ton from him. He always says, I learned so much about elk hunting by hanging out with Corey, but really he's the one that taught us. But as I look back on elk hunting and those experiences, my love for it and everything, I see a really strong parallel between elk hunting and life in general. And when it comes to being successful in elk hunting,